small hours of the morning.
Though sometimes I think the only reason the library stays open is because of the fees I wind up paying. I take it you're a fairly avid reader as well? Definitely. One can't expand one's horizons enough. I'm just about to head inside. Do you want to drop by and meet me in the lobby? Sure. Let me just get reasonably decent and I'll pop right over. Oh, you never told me when the reading was. I hope we didn't miss it. Reading? Oh no. What time is it? Glancing at the clock, I saw it was a little after 10. After I mentioned it to Seth, he seemed to calm down. Ooh, sorry about that. I get a little too deep into my own head sometimes. The reading is at noon in the community room. We've got plenty of time. Good. Well, I've got nothing planned this morning, so I'll just drop by since you're already there. We said our goodbyes. I tried to flinch every time I had another what? Despite not needing to rush, I did feel a little concerned about making him wait. I scooped up some clean clothes and got myself as close to presentable as possible. Kobe was stumbling around the kitchen, bleary-eyed and in nothing but his underwear, as I was heading towards the door. And where are you off to in a rush? Just meeting someone. Found an interesting guy at the club last night and he invited me to an event. Ooh, first date, huh? Don't get started, little bro. I heard everything that happened last night when you and your friends got back here. Okay, have fun, but I expect the full report. I promise, we'll dish all about him later. Later's good. Right now, I need coffee and a shower. Kobe followed his beak back into the kitchen as I made my way out the front door. Ah, the beach, where the bitches live. I honestly hadn't been to the public library in ages. Between work and Kobe's nightlife, I'd been too occupied to think about culture. Probably why I was curious about this feline. Not that my friends were dim, far from it, but they were more passionate about surfing, tanning, and chasing tail than discussing the latest popular literature. Last night was all about trying new things, so I figured this was another tick mark of my newest bucket list. His adorably nerdy look may have also had some influence on my choice. True to his words, Seth had found us a couple of seats close enough to enjoy the reader but not in immediate view. Everyone else was getting settled in, so I managed to make it to my seat with a minimum of fuss. Seth beamed at me before turning his attention back to the front of the room. Who the fuck is that? Nick Kovac? Is that like a furry friend of the game developer that he put in here? The dew had settled on the lawn, just outside the front door, glistening in the last few rays of moonlight before the sun crested the horizon. I didn't know what was being read or who the author was. The play card just outside the room had a few bits of information on it, but nothing that rang a bell. Seth chuckled quietly, likely due to my confused expression. His name is Nick Kovac. He's one of my favorites for a light read. Blood was color of the clouds, and the same unwashed crimson spilled in rivulets across the floor before him. It was a body emptied of life and life empty of meaning. Light read? What definition of the word light are you using? It's genre fiction, murder mystery with a little thriller thrown in for a spice. He's got a way with words that really captures the imagination. The sounds of boots rattling the window and shaking the shutters pulled them from severity too soon. They will be upon him and thereafter. He would join the woodsman discovered palm paving stones. It's certainly hard to not form a mental image. You read a few of his books? All 14 in his current series. I found him midway through the second, so I got some insights I shouldn't have into the first. It ruined my mystique for me, and I haven't been able to bring myself to try reading them. 14? How many has he written in total? Oh, about 28 or so. He's prolific, sure, but that's why he does it so well. Two staccato shots rung out across the barren fields, and pang of heat and pain radiated from his shoulder. He held secrets best left unspoken, and his pursuer meant to silence him forever. You said you were doing some research for your own story. How far has that one? I'm fucking up with the voices, hold up. Even in the dim light, I could see a frown creasing the corners of his mouth. He sunk back into his chair for a moment before whispering his response. Honestly, not as well as I had hoped. Writing is a very private vocation, but that makes it even harder when you stare at an empty room and a blank page. I admit, I am here in part to hopefully absorb some of his ambient genius in the hopes of inspiring myself to put pen to paper. So just like at the club, you're here trying to gain inspiration through osmosis? Somehow you make it sound more desperate than I intended. That wasn't at all what I meant by it. Inspiration can be fickle. You've got to find the right source for it. This could be just as worthwhile as going for a walk or taking a shower. Very much so. After a good book or a good reading, I do feel much more confident and focused. Then let's just sit back and let this wash over you and see if it sparks something. He looked thoughtful for a moment, glancing between the reader and me. A smile passed over his face as he leaned in close. Oh shit. Some decorating and propriety was needed. Considering the number of people casting glares at the two of us from the seats in front, so I merely smiled and urged him on. I bribe you with lunch and you serve as my board. No, my muse. Unemployment did certainly encourage person lunches as often as possible. As he smiled grew even bigger as he settled back into the chair. 4 words as the iron bars rain, sick and concrete to self-knowledge, escape, blah, 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 blah. Seth nudged me as applause rolled through the room. I guess I hadn't been paying as much attention as I thought. The two of us made our way through the crowds and back out to the lobby. It was there that I noticed a small wooden table with a pile of books on it and an author's picture on a stand. Seth was busy chatting with some of the other attendees, so I found a place to sit down nearby. When he finally stepped away, he made a beeline for me. Fucking, this is too much reading for me. Like, words don't sound like words to me anymore. Don't get me wrong, this is a great game. I love it. But shit. I think the conversations get dragged a little bit too much to the point where like you're like, I just wanna get to the point. Like all this detail and all this, like, come on. But that's good. Detail is good. Like, I appreciate all the work that's been put into this project. Alright, there's a nice little coffee shop down the road. I've got a couple of books to grab before we go, so I can meet you there, or you can wait for me. Apparently, Seth hadn't noticed the signing table on the author heading in that direction. He did mention enjoying his books. Ooh, secretly get a signed book. Why don't I just wait and I'll see you back here in a sec. Excellent. I'll just be a moment. Seth wandered off to the circulation desk when I maneuvered to the table. Thanks for coming. It's always nice to see a good turnout. You're welcome. First time I've been to a reading. I don't get out as much as I should. Then double thanks. It can be hard to compete with everything else out there to do. What can I do for you? My friend is a big fan of yours. Could I get a signed copy of your latest book for him? Sure. It's part of the reason I'm here. Did you have something in mind for me to write? Something encouraging. He's an aspiring author himself. Could you put in some words of encouragement? Of course. Just tell him not to steal my audience. I have to eat too. Ooh. Wow, that was funny. Fuck, that was a funny joke. God damn, you gotta stop. You're killing me, man. Ha! Got him. Ha! Oh, he got me. He got me. That was funny. Oh. He chuckled and jotted down a few inspirational words before signing his name with a flourish. After I'd paid, I slipped the book into my coat to keep it out of sight for a surprise. Thanks again for coming. I've got another reading later in the month. I hope to see you and your friend there. I'll mention it to him. Thanks again. Back? Hopefully I didn't keep you waiting too long. Not at all. Shall we get going? Seth nodded and the two of us ducked out of the front door and into the street. I had to juggle the book a little to keep it a secret, but Seth was so engrossed in talking about the reading, it wasn't too difficult. The coffee shop was a nice little place, cozy and inviting. We settled into a table after grabbing a coffee each and a scone. I barely had time to take the first bite when Seth produced a number of notebooks. My writings are a little scattered. I tend to just grab what I have nearby, what I have handy, to jot my thoughts down. I'm not dyslexic, I swear. Look at this cutie blushing. I wanna fuck already. What are you trying to write? Well, it seems to me the first thing to do would be to get organized. You've got a bunch of bits and pieces, but have you considered what you want to do with them? I was thinking of, or something involving the main, but I could also bring a... That sounds like a no. I just don't quite have my thoughts together. It's not as simple as that, you know. There has to be some... Seth, no, it's okay. No is okay. No doesn't mean there isn't something to work with. It just means you don't yet have a direction. Wasn't that the reason you wanted to do this? That's some encouragement right there. That's some encouragement right there. That's a good person right there if I ever seen one. You're right. Sorry. It's easy to get lost in my head, I suppose. Writing seems to be a really important thing for you. What got you started? Bitch, am I on a real date or is this like fiction? Cause shit, I feel like I'm like POV right now talking to somebody. Reading mostly. I've always been a little bookish and well, I enjoyed so much of my time in other people's worlds that I wanted to see some of my own. I assume you aren't just a writer since you're still working on a book. What else do you do with your time? I'm not terribly fond of talking about it just because it's embarrassing. Oh, now it's getting juicy. Ooh, I know he'd be recording some child pornography. Well, now you have to tell me. I'm a trust fund kid. My parents have been fairly well off financially and they set aside a sizable sum for me when I got older. That would explain why you're able to live in town. My parents adopted me when I was younger, and I've also been pretty fortunate in that regard.